We learned quite a bit about Master Chief this week, didn't we? Okay, I love the twist that Halsey kidnapped him and replaced him with another child. Like, she visited John's family and saw potential in him, and now that he knows the truth, now that he knows what Halsey's really up to, now that he knows his past, now that he knows that makes me more intrigued to see where this is going to go. Also, is it just me, or does Halsey have an accent all of a sudden? Because this entire episode, she sounded very British, and sometimes New Zealand or Australian, and it's only for this episode, but I swear, she had an American accent in the other episodes, didn't she? And so she has a different accent. I don't know, maybe it's just me. Maybe she has had that the whole time and I just didn't notice, but anyway. Again, this episode has the same issue that I've had with almost every episode, which is the B story about Quadha. They're not making her very interesting. It was uninteresting. I didn't care. That's the one problem with the show, is they're trying to make, they just don't know what to do with Quadha. She just kind of seems to just be there, and she's just not that interesting, and her story with the other guy just is not that interesting. But luckily, there's very little of that in this episode, and the episode's main focus is Master Chief. And as I'm learning more about this character, he is getting more interesting. I really, really like the dynamic between him and Cortana in this episode, and they play off each other so well, because he's arguing with the other soldier about her taking the chip out of her head or wherever it was, and they're having that discussion about, well, you did it, so why can't I do it? And then Cortana's like, well, she has a point. She was like, you need to shut up, Cortana, I can't hear myself think. Oh, well, there's not much in your head anyway, you're not missing anything. Little back and forth moments like that make them so entertaining to watch. And the last 10 minutes of this episode were so awesome. My complaint's like, there's not a lot of action. No, there's a lot of action in the last 10 minutes. It makes the other episodes that have a lot of action well worth it, because the action in this episode was non-stop in the last 10 minutes. Actually, the last 10 minutes was non-stop. It was engaging. It was fast-paced. It really held my attention. And even little details, like it's sometimes looking like a first-person shooter, and even when they get hit, you hear the do like from the game, like everything from that. Those little details just made me smile so much. Everything about the action in this episode was so good. And we get to see a little bit more of, I think her name is Mackie, being a conniving villain in this episode, because she's now playing the role of harmless human kidnapped by the aliens, even though she's working with them to get the Covenant or whatever it is. So, and I'm kind of excited to see how that plays out, and does Master Chief fall for it, and what's going to happen next week. So the show continues to be really solid. Each episode gets better and better. And as of this episode, we're halfway through season 1. This is supposed to be a 10-episode show. This was episode 5. This was the halfway point. So hopefully the second half of the season keeps the momentum going or kicks it up. Either way, I'm loving the show. I can't wait to talk about next week's episode.